Welcome to Smarter Business Finance Podcast, Episode 11. My name is Dustin Tappan. I'm one of the account managers here.
And I'm Andrea Brooks. I'm one of the account managers as well.
You know what I wanted to talk today about? I wanted to talk about, that one annoying friend that, like, when you have a job and they're blowing you up, like, hey, introduce me to your boss.
Mm-hmm.
Get me in there. Get me in there.
Oh, yeah, of course.
But low key, you're telling yourself, I don't know if I want to get that person in there because, one, I know you too well, and I think maybe you might get me fired.
Mm-hmm.
Or you just think maybe, the company you work for, their standards, and you know that your friend isn't going to do that. So, you're the one of two people. You want to tell your friend, like, honestly, you're not going to work out there. Or you're going to get them that job and let you risk your own reputation getting that person hired at your job.
Oh, that's a rock and a hard place.
Exactly. So what do? And I think that, depending on how much you value your reputation to your establishment that you work for is how you react to that situation. And I've been in this spot before, and I've actually referred people, and it's blown up in my face. So now I'm kind of like, I don't know. But then I did have a friend that was really, really on top of his game, and he asked me for a referral one time. And so I did end up referring him, and he ended up doing very, very well at the company, and it made me look good.
Right.
So then I was torn, and I'm like, you know what? I guess you just kind of feel out the situation, because first I was completely anti, and then I'm like, you know what? Maybe it could work out. I don't know if you've ever had that happen to you before, but that's my experience.
I think we've all had that. I mean, and it's funny that you bring that up because that's the topic of today, right, is our lenders and being able to build relationships with our vendors and being able to build relationships with lenders and not jeopardize their reputation, because reputation is very important, not only to the customer, but also to dealerships and vendors and businesses, because everyone, at the end of the day, everyone's trying to feed their family.
I think it is for sure full circle, right? Because the last thing you want to do is, you're reaching out to these vendors and you're trying to build a relationship and cultivate a relationship with them. And in the back of their mind, they're thinking, like, well, why do I want to, what does this guy got or what does this girl got that makes me feel comfortable enough to send my client to them? Are they in good hands? Are they going to make me look good? Are they going to make my company look good? Are they going to blow this up and make us look horrible?
Right.
Because even, when let's put ourselves in our vendor's shoe. I have a client. My client might love me as the vendor, and I have a great relationship. But as soon as I put my neck out on the line and say, hey, you know what? I got this guy that can help you with finance. His name is Steve. Go see Steve. If I send him over and Steve is a complete, just doesn't know what he's doing, he's unprofessional, he's not educated, he lies, he doesn't have a good values, then what happens? No matter if my customer loves me or not, he's going to be mad at me. It's going to taint that relationship.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, one of the key factors in building relationships is integrity. You have honesty in there, your moral compass, whether you have high moral values. So with our dealerships and our vendors that we work with, our integrity is really important. Now, if you have a vendor that is a fly-by-night, really doesn't care about their customer, maybe integrity is not something that they're looking for. But if you have a dealership that is looking to build their business, looking to grow their business, looking to establish relationships with their customer base, so they have that return business. I mean, it's so expensive to get a customer initially that you want that customer to return on their own, right? That helps you to just grow and expand. So for those kind of businesses, which are the type of businesses that we like to work with, integrity is definitely going to be key.
For sure. And I know you mentioned, how some vendors might not really care about that. And they're more of a fly-by-night. They're all about the bottom line, the bottom dollar, which I completely understand. Businesses, listen, numbers are numbers. Businesses function off numbers.
Right.
With that being said, though, you have to look at yourself and look at the company that you work for and think to yourself, like, is that somebody I want to do business with? You hear about vendors firing their partners, their financial partners all the time. What we need to also take a second, we need to think about is, us as on the financial end, we can fire our vendors too. Because I don't know about you, I don't want to work for somebody that has low morality and their values don't align with mine, because it's just constantly going to be butting heads because they're not going to understand when you call them and say, hey, listen, I talked to, Jane Doe, and I was explaining to her the situation, and it's going to take a little longer because we need to build this the correct way and put this file together the right way to get it approved properly.
Right, yeah.
They're not going to understand that because they're going to say, what do you mean? Just, say it's for the business and say it's this and so that can cause conflict and butting of heads. And all that's going to do is it's going to slow down the streamlined process, and it's no good. So sometimes it's okay to fire a vendor,
Oh, absolutely.
And I think another thing that comes into play really big is communication. So many things just in life is communication is key in every aspect of life, whether it's relationships, parenting, business relationships, whatever it is, there has to be communication because I can't read your mind. You can't read my mind, although you might be able to. You might be able to. You seem like somebody that a little brain reader there. But communication is key because without that, how are you guys going to establish that baseline of morality and values that you are both going to work with each other on,
Right.
So I think that communication is really key, and I think in this particular field per se, when you're dealing with brokers and getting commercial financing, I think communication is something that's lacking on that end with a lot of other lenders and brokers. And I know that at Smarter Business Finance, we really, really try to hone in on communication. We want to communicate with our vendors. We want to communicate with our clients. I know you're great at that. I hear you on the phone, and you let them know what's happening, when it's happening. You're not letting an approval you're not getting an approval and then not calling the vendor and letting them know. I see you on the phone. I see how you work. You want to tell me a little bit about that and how you go about that?
Well, Dustin, at the end of the day, everybody has a deadline. Everybody's trying to reach a goal. So whether it's the customer trying to service their client base, or it's the dealership or the vendor trying to sell that next piece of equipment, or it's the finance company trying to finance because that's how they stay in business. Everybody has a deadline. So communication is definitely important when you're trying to meet a deadline, when you are trying to attain a piece of equipment or attain finance. And the reason that that's so important is that if you don't know what's going on, that puts you in a place of uncertainty. For the customer, you don't know if you're going to get the deal done. For the dealership, you don't know if you're going to get the piece of equipment sold. For a dealership that is trying to sell a piece of equipment, like a customer, time is money. There's so many customers that are walking on the lot or calling in for finance from an online platform that for a dealership not to know what's going on with their deal can really be detrimental, not only to the customer, but the dealership. And also, like we mentioned before, their reputation, because we have online reviews now. And multiple customers can totally tank your business or your reputation by an experience that they've had that you don't, as the dealer or the vendor, you don't necessarily have control over. So right. Communication 100% is key, and we are lacking there.
Do you feel like you go out of your with that? Like, it's one of the main components that you focus on is communication. Do you feel like that's actually saved some relationships with vendors that you've developed over time,
100%.
Where maybe you couldn't get the deal done as fast because you were trying to be efficient and make sure that they're in the right program, as opposed to cookie cuttering it and just saying, hey, listen, this is what we got for you, take it or leave it? 100%. That communication, has that helped you succeed?
I definitely know that is a key factor. I have multiple relationships where they really appreciate the transparency.
Yeah, transparency is so key. Especially when it comes to money and dealing with these people, because I feel like just so many people have a bad taste in their mouth when it comes to, feel like they've been getting taken advantage of or whatever the case may be. I hear stories all the time. I got into this one loan and it ended up being completely something different than somebody told me. They told me I could pay it off in 1 month, and it's just crazy. It's crazy what you hear.
Yeah.
So I know that that's one of the things that I've valued working for Smarter Business Finance is, the transparency and how important it is to tell the truth to the client, because at the end of the day, you're really not hurting anybody but yourself, ultimately the company, and it's just not worth it. When you're talking about communication, another thing that you want to piggyback off of that is communicating windows of credit, right? And the wideness of the windows of credit that, say, Smarter Business Finance has as opposed to your local brokerage or lender. That's what you're so good at, is when you're talking to your clients, you're learning about them and what they are trying to accomplish, and then having access to that wide window of credit opportunities and programs is what lets you plug and play your client into a program that fits them and what they need, what they're going to need to grow their business, become more successful, more profitable, and at the end of the day, they're going to love you for it. They're going to refer not only your services to their friends and family, but they're going to refer the business as well. So everybody wins in the end.
Right.
And I think that's really important. What do you see? I know you've been doing this a lot longer than me. Do you feel like having that wide window as opposed to like maybe just a couple programs, how do you feel like that benefits you? Do you feel like it's overwhelming to an extent, or do you feel like it's a necessity to survive in a market that's growing constantly like this?
Yeah, that's really, really a good question. So the wide window, it not only services our customer, right, but it helps our vendors. So when vendors come to us, they have a lot of different customers, business owners that are coming from all walks of life. So as far as a wide range of available options, Smarter has really set itself apart from our competition in that we do offer that to so many vendors and customers. So when a vendor calls us, it's essentially they're calling 33 people at one time.
One-stop shop, right?
One-stop shop, absolutely.
And I think people want that, to be honest.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
it's, you know, my background originally before I came to finance was in hospitality. And the reason I was successful in that field, hospitality has a shelf life if you're in the nightclub scene. So that's why I kind of left that, you know. So,
Okay.
But very successful nonetheless. And the reason why people are successful in hospitality when it comes to that is because you are a one-stop shop concierge. If you're good at it, people are going to know, because they're going to come to me and they're going to say, hey, listen, he's going to know the restaurants, he's going to know the hotels, he's going to know the lounges, he's going to know where live music is. Everything. And that's what you are providing these people when it comes to commercial financing and growing and scaling their business. So it all is hand in hand, right? It's a one-stop shop, and I really think that's what's important. And in order to be a one-stop shop, you have to have the ability to network and have reach at all these different, lenders that we can bring our clients to and ultimately get approved.
Right.
So I think that's really cool. You touch base on how if somebody was going to come to the dealership and they could get it approved at their local bank, they would just show up and say, hey, listen, I want that truck. I already have my financing. I'm ready to rock.
Right.
And the reality of the situation is people aren't doing that, and people aren't doing that because the approval rate at the local bank is 18%.
That.
Yeah.
That maybe was on a good day,
Right.
not today. So right now, as far as banks are concerned, when customers go to finance at their bank, they're coming up against restrictions that we might not have to deal with. So some of our lenders have no mileage restrictions. Some of our lenders have no age restrictions. When you go to a bank, a lot of the times they have preferences. They want newer equipment, they want low miles. That's if they do commercial finance. And then a lot of the times the banks, they need at least 3 years. A lot of our customers that come to us have been in business for less than 3 years. Doesn't mean that they lack the industry experience. They wouldn't be coming to us if they didn't. If they didn't have the experience, but they don't have that time in business that's required. So to get done at your personal bank is far few and in between. But we do always ask the customer, have you tried your local bank? Have you tried your credit union? And 9 times out of 10, they've tried them and they said no. Despite the fact that they have their relationship established, they have their money there, they've been long-time customers, it is a business. And so local banks are not willing to take the risk on businesses that have been established less than 5 years. As you know, that's high risk. Under 5 years is high risk. They're not willing to take the risk on businesses that don't come to the table with enough working capital, So we're really a key player in this, and that we're able to help those businesses that are new, that are getting started. As long as you have some industry experience, you have to pay some of your bills. We're not, we know if you don't pay everybody else, you're not going to pay us, right? But we definitely have options where we can give customers to make their dream a reality. And vendors are every day, sending us customers that are looking to finance their dreams, and we help them do that.
That folds back into communication. You communicating to the person that's coming to you for that loan that, hey, maybe we're not your best fit right now. Have you tried your local bank? Have you
Right.
tried your credit union? And then they hang up the phone and they say, you know what, I'm going to go try that. And then they try. And when they come back to you, how much more appreciative are they of you for
100%.
at least, hey, listen, she even told me that, hey, go try this because honestly, that's going to be your best option.
Right.
And then come see me if they say no. And
Right.
9 times out of 10, they're coming back to you because the bank
yeah.
told them no.
Right.
It's very hard. That's something that really sets and resonates with me when it comes to this company. How they, it's not just like take. It's giving information. You're not just here to close a deal. You're here to educate and coach, right? It's part of coaching life. You have to coach people on certain things. I can't tell you how many people I've talked to that they have all this experience and they're breaking out and they want to start their own thing. They just don't know how to go about it. Like, oh yeah, I want to do a business. Okay, well, have you got an LLC or a corp, or are you going to do it as a sole prop? People just don't know these things. I'm driving home on communication because I think that's probably one of the most important things that we're mentioning in here besides integrity. And communicating these things is so, so important because if you're telling somebody, well, this is the steps that you have to take and you're kind of coaching them, you are essentially like a business partner with them, right?
You're consulting.
Yeah.
100%.
So like they're going to come back to you.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And that people don't take that stuff for granted because in a day-to-day where it's like there's so much information, so many things are out there, and so many people are trying to charge people for everything. It's like, hey, buy my course. Hey, click this link. I'm going to show you how to do this, for $599. I'll teach you. Listen, pick up the phone. Call Smarter Business. We're going to help you. We're going to show you what to do. All right?
Sure, yeah.
But, I mean, communicating is so key, and the banks getting out of this game it's right in our face right now.
Yeah.
Banks are pulling out of equipment financing, and I think that it's just, in my opinion, I feel like they don't think that the risk is worth the reward, and I'd be interested to see what your take is on why you think more banks are declining to buy these deals.
Well, I mean, you've hit on it, the risk. So we've seen this previously that the risk that the banks are taking, they're just not willing to take. And so that's why brokers like Smarter Equipment Finance are so important, because you still have those customers that are coming on your lot, that are calling your phone, that have found equipment that they want to purchase, but they don't have anyone to finance it for them, right? The local banks, they don't qualify for. They're closing up shop because of the risk. So we're really, like I said, with the options that we have, the 33 program options that we have available, we're a vendor and dealership's best friend. One person. You don't have to speak to different departments to get your deal done. One person that speaks to your customer, a business that operates in integrity, going to let you know what's going on from point A to point B. A lot of the times we can let a dealership know within the first hour or two if this is a deal. Now there are some times where there are hidden factors that may come up that sometimes, it's not a deal, but on the surface it looks good. But at the end of the day, it's about building client relationships, vendors being able to build their business as well as helping out customers. And we're willing to take the risk, because I don't know if you know, but our business owners, our presidents, they actually had A+ credit, more than enough to finance their own equipment. And they were told no by their own lender, by their own bank. And so they had to go out and find finance from a lender. And so they really have a heart towards helping business owners to get finance, So they have a personal experience. And I remember day one of my orientation, the number one rule is if you lie, you're fired. So it's all about the relationship,
Right.
out there. So today, a lot of brokers, as far as communication, the customers, when I speak with a lot of customers, they were just ghosted, literally, by the lender.
Right.
They don't know what happened. They don't know why they didn't qualify. They don't know what they can do to make it better, to be in a better position the next time that they try. So their spirits are broken. You know, they don't really want to try the next time. They're skeptical of the next call or the next person that they speak with. And so it's really important to us here at Smarter how we handle our customers, because at the end of the day, that can be a family friend, right? At the end of the day, if we were the owners, if we were to be in that position, we want to be treated with respect. We want to, you know, if you can help me, let me know. If you can't help me, let me know. Don't ghost me. That's totally unprofessional. So,
Right. You know, I had a question for you. When you're breaking into vendors, because since we're talking about vendor relationships and why it's important for these vendors to have relationships with people like us and a company like this, how do you, what kind of objectives do you get when you're talking to these vendors? And, you know, listen, everybody's busy. In a world, today's world, everybody's got a million places to be at a million different times. Nobody has time for anything unless it's benefiting them right up front.
Yeah.
You know, so when you get somebody on the phone and you're talking to this person, oh yeah, we're good. We got plenty. But are you really good though? Like so you're telling me every single deal that you have is getting approved.
Right.
So you might be good on the surface level, but let's scratch a little deeper. Tell me, are you really good? What are you doing with the 2 sales that might have fell through the cracks? Are you making enough money where you just don't care? I don't want to deal with those people? Or are you going to give that person a second chance and send them to somebody that has a wide range of credit options, 33 programs that they could fit into? You know, hundreds of programs, actually, 33 lenders.
Right.
Within that 33 lenders, hundreds of programs. Send them to us. Let us take an eye on them. You know, do you find that you breaking that down to vendors helps building that relationship, or what do you feel like when you're talking to these people? What kind of reaction you're getting?
I mean, we have to keep in mind that vendors are receiving these calls all day, every day, right? So what's going to set you apart? I find that when I call vendors, what they really like is the fact that we do communicate, and they like the fact that we do soft pulls. So initially, when we're trying to get their customer finance, we're not here to hurt their customer.
Huge.
We
That's
want
huge.
to help them, right? And if we can't help them, then we're going to let the dealership know, we'll let the customer know that we're not able to help you at this time. But here are a couple of things that you can work on that will put you in a better position next time.
Right.
There are lenders and institutions out there that will finance someone that isn't necessarily what we consider ready, but they're going to put the customer in a loan where they pay for that equipment, for example, 2 or 3 times. That's not the kind of business that we're looking to do.
Right.
So when I talk to vendors, I let them know, number one, that we do a soft pull. I'll let you know whether I can help your customer or not. And then number 2, we build commercial credit. So as we mentioned before, most customers can't go to their bank, but then I've also talked to tons of customers that are looking for commercial credit because they want to build their commercial portfolio.
I mean, yeah, that's the goal, right? I mean, building commercial credit is so important and pivotal when you're trying to grow and scale a business, because you don't always want to have to. If you do it correctly and you do it the right way and you're responsible with it, you can go get equipment for your business, not even have to PG.
Right.
Right? Your
Right.
business is taking responsibility for that.
Right.
So you're never going to get to that next level and punch through if you cannot establish those first couple lines and build from there. So
Right.
commercial credit is so important, and that's one of the aspects of this job that I love, is helping people get on that right path and break through and coach them on how to do that and ultimately become successful and profitable. Another thing that vendors like for us is the ability to have ease of access to applications that can be filled out online, whether it's at Smarter Equipment Finance or we build you a custom link. If you build a relationship with a vendor, if you call your vendor and you say, hey, listen, I really enjoy doing business with you. I love to cultivate a relationship. How can I streamline this for you and make this easier so that really, it can be kind of hands off and you can focus on what you're good at, and that's selling
100%.
equipment. Sell the equipment, let me handle the finance aspect. We can build you a custom link, put it on your website, they click it, it's filled out, it gets sent to me, I start working right away, and if we need anything, I give you a call. But 9 times out of 10, we can do it just based off of that, something along those lines.
So another thing that I really like about Smarter is that we kind of streamline the process for our vendors and dealerships. I mean, for those vendors that are really large, they may have their own applications, which are great, but for those that need it, we have a service with applications, right?
I mean, yeah, I think that's huge, honestly. And we're fortunate enough to, one of the founders of this company, he's like mega mind when it comes to computers, right? So if you need an application link, you send it over to him. He's like, yeah, no problem. Blah, blah, blah. Rob just gets on there and just blows it up before you know it. Like, there's a link. You can send that to your vendor. And I know that I have vendors that really appreciate that, where it's like you come across somebody, maybe it's a smaller mom and pop shop, but they're moving equipment and they're helping people and they're getting these deals done. They have customers. You're opening up a whole new access to them, and you're ultimately growing their business. They might look at it that way, they might not, but what you're doing is you are giving them the fuel that they need to grow and scale their own business as they're helping individuals scale their business. So, I have a couple of vendors that you go on their site and then you click get financing, and it will bring them to a Smarter Business financing page where they can fill out the application. It streamlines the process, and that leaves the salesperson to do what they do, and that's sell. So I think that that's really a good way to innovate and ultimately make the process easier. People are always going to choose the least path of resistance, right? 100%. So as the easier it is, the more you can give them, the more likely it is that this will work out and you guys can grow and cultivate together, cultivate those relationships. So I think that that's huge, personally.
What also makes it really cool is, we have multiple ways that they can do the application process. For those vendors that are super busy and they just want to give a number, we do the application over the phone. They can have the customers to call us. We have it to where, like you mentioned, we can do it on their website where the customer can go onto their website and fill out the application. What I really like about that, though, and most of the vendors that I work with, is the transparency of it. You have some lenders and institutions out there that will have an application, right, that your customers can fill out, but that application only goes to the lender, or it only goes to the finance institution. So you don't really know, as the vendor, who filled out the application. What I really appreciate about Smarter is that when we get an application, you get an application, because at the end of the day, we're human, and something might fall through the crack. And then also, we want that transparency. We want to let you know that if Teresa applied, this is where we're at with Teresa, but that we didn't snake that finance. And when you mentioned earlier about building that vendor relationship or getting vendors to try Smarter or to see if we're a good fit, a lot of vendors like that we don't snake their deals. If we get a customer that's approved with them, that customer is purchasing with them unless the vendor says otherwise. If the customer decides not to, that's one thing, but we're not going to snake that deal. We're not going to take it to another dealership, so that's something that I really like as well.
No, yeah, I think that's super key. That's super important. I've had vendors complain where, there's been finance companies that they were dealing with, like you said, where that application gets filled out, it gets sent in, and then it's like, where did it go? I don't even know, Right. So that is a really cool feature that is. And you know what? Honestly, you can even fill out an application and fax it in if you need to.
If you wanted to do that. 1980s, right? If you wanted to do that.
We got some old school guys that maybe they want to fill out an application and fax it in. We can do it that way too.
Right.
The possibilities are really endless. At the end of the day, we're here to solve problems, and that's how we're going to do it. Whether it's email, a link, call in, fax, whatever the case may be, we're going to get it done. And I think that's one of the things that sets us apart from, a lot of people. I always, when we're talking about this, and I just can't help but keep thinking about The Office. It's like one of my favorite shows. But there's an episode where Dwight's on a sales call with Jim, and they're pitching their paper sales to this guy, and he's like, he's buying from big box stores, and he's like, oh no, we're good. I like our setup and all this, and then Jim goes, well, tell me something that you don't like. And the guy's trying to think of something. So Dwight's on the phone, like he's kind of being rude in the background. And the guy keeps looking at him. He's like, what are you doing on the phone? He like the whole meeting, the guy's on the phone. And then finally he puts on speaker and he's on hold.
I remember
the
that
whole
one.
time waiting to get a hold of somebody to get some help from where this guy buys his paper.
Right.
So then Dwight says, I've been on hold for 27 minutes. Hangs up the phone, goes over to the guy's desk like a boss, dials Dunder Mifflin, and then they answer like, "Hi, welcome to Dunder Mifflin. How can we help you?" You know, and that was like, boom, the guy was sold.
Right.
And that resonates for me. It just feels so appropriate in this setting to talk about that episode, because it's the truth. It's like, try to call one of these big companies like that are just mass producing like dials and doing this and just like cookie cutter programs. Good luck. Okay.
Right.
Now you can call Smarter Business Finance and you're going to pick up the phone.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to get a chance to talk to you. Whether it's good or bad, if they have a question, you're going to find out. You're going to get the answer for them. So, I mean, that's one of the things that I really like about this company, and I think that helps us drive home to a lot of vendors like why we're different, what sets us apart. Because in a world where they're getting, telemarketed by 50,000 finance companies a day, there has to be the why. What is it? Why you? Well, this is why. And I think that is a big part of the success of this company, and will be a continued part of success in this company. And it's people like you that make it happen. So thank you.
Thank you. And so that concludes episode 11. Hopefully it has been
yeah, I had a great time talking to you.
Fun for you.
I loved it. And guys, make sure that you go ahead and click the links below. They're going to be attached. You can go ahead and see Trustpilot reviews and everything that you need. Go ahead and visit the website. Give us a call if you want to talk to us. Just say you saw the video. We'd love to chat with you. All right, guys. Have a good one.
Thanks for watching or listening. If you're listening through a podcast app, we would love it if you would be so kind as to leave a review. If you are watching this on YouTube, it would mean the world to us if you left a comment or gave us a big thumbs up. And lastly, if you're looking at us on the website, if you would let us know an episode that's of interest to you, that would be fantastic.